Corekeeper really upended my opinion on this genre when I first discovered it more than a year ago. I am very picky about my survival crafting games, so picture my surprise when I began a playthrough and, in what felt like a blink, I had carved out a giant cave, made a multi-bedroom estate, had a thriving farmland, and the claimed lives of 3 major bosses under my belt. Yep, it's one of those. This is far from my first video on this game, and while I do really love Corekeeper, I haven't been afraid to be critical when I needed to be. Much of the issues I've brought up in past videos, however, have been addressed in the 1.0. Because I'm a lot more comfortable with where the game is now than at launch, I'll let you know that this video is now sponsored by Fireshine Games, as in the publisher for Corekeeper. But don't think for a second that this means the video will be uninformative, as I only accept sponsors from games that I actually play. Turning down that Raid Shadow Legends money was tough, believe me. Corekeeper is available on Game Pass, Xbox Series X and S, PlayStation 5, Nintendo Switch, and of course, Steam. With all of that out of the way, let me give you the rundown on the gameplay loop, including some stuff that's new to the 1.0 version, as well as why it stands out amongst a very competitive genre. It's hard to point to any one thing and say, that's the reason Corekeeper works so well. I could talk about how comprehensive its progression is, I could talk about its amazing house customization, or its diverse biomes, or its snappy combat, so I will. What exactly do you even do in this game? Put simply, you awaken in an underground world with nothing but a handful of supplies. Despite having almost nothing to your name, it doesn't take long before you start unraveling the mining and base building progression loop you've come to love from the survival crafting genre. Blocks are quickly done away with at first, even without a pickaxe, though you'll get one very soon. Your goals in Corekeeper are mostly self-made, but it does give you a bit more direction than you might expect, considering you spawn directly next to the titular core, which lets you craft special items to locate the game's bosses. These bosses act as progression milestones that upon defeat let you access new continents to gain better gear, housing items, the works. Despite the breadth of freedom the player is given, there's always a tangible goal that keeps you from feeling directionless, which is an important design choice for most games, but especially for survival crafting. Unlike my ex, the goalposts in Corekeeper stay firmly in place. Because of this, I never felt as if I was completely at a loss for what to do ever. I never just idled away at my base, or at least that's what I would have said if I didn't get very distracted at times. See, there was a time on my first save file where I was so invested in making my house look cool that I put everything on halt just to do that full time. All of my friends sped ahead of me on their own separate save files, leaving me clear in the dust. And the only thing that made me continue again was the desire to unlock a teleporter for my backyard. I'm sure you've had an experience that relates to this, but Jesus, unlocking that thing for the first time and being able to go directly to the sea biome, hundreds of miles from my house, to begin making my beach house, was a giant treat. If you take your eyes off another player in your Corekeeper worlds for merely a moment, you'll probably find them making a place to live, and it's understandable. Tile sets and decorations are very fun to tinker with. Even people in the early game will be able to make different kinds of floor and wall patterns. You can even use paint brushes to change palettes on sprites. Some things like furniture take on whole new designs when painted. It's really cool. Also, there's this thing that lets you punch holes in the ceiling so you can decide exactly where you want the lighting from the surface to be. No idea how it works practically, but aesthetically, it's a perfect way to top off your designs and have the light just shine in the exact part of the room you really want to look nice and stuff. It's cool. It's cool. By the way, that beach house idea I mentioned earlier is not as relaxing as it sounds. The enemies here are very tough. While we're on the subject of enemies, I should tell you that on the combat front, Corekeeper feels good. Positioning is key, but perhaps more important to your survival is preparation. You can't just charge in swords blazing for some of these fights. Armor is important, of course, but so is taking food items and brewing a couple of health potions to top yourself off. The best food items have some hardy buffs that can last for minutes. There's thousands of different food recipes in this game, by the way. Like, I've yet to put 2 ingredients in the food cauldron that didn't result in some unique item. Preparation doesn't just come in the form of equipment and buffs though. If you've made an arena in Terraria, you'll know it never hurts to carve out a giant area for yourself before you take on a big enemy. Before fighting the first major boss, for example, I not only made a lot of room for a fight to commence, but carefully scooped up as much slime as I could to prevent my character from getting slowed mid-fight. Even outside of combat, weapons have unique uses, like this mallet that can clear multiple walls of blocks at once, or this projectile weapon that can shred walls. New to 1.0 are the Mage and Necromancer playstyles, which use staffs and summoning books respectively. These new weapon types start spawning right away, so you don't have to wait until later to try out the new gear. Personally, I liked the summoning books since you're able to juggle them with other weapons, even if you aren't going for a summoning archetype. You can spawn a bat and promptly switch back to a melee weapon, for instance. Skill points can also be earned to increase your weapon attack speed, as well as practically every other feature of the game, like fishing, farming, and cooking. You'll have to make some interesting decisions, especially regarding combat-related skill trees, since some of these enemies are truly vicious, like these giant grubs that seek out and destroy your torches. Now, if a game taking place primarily underground sounds like an uninteresting setting to you, with nothing but dirt-laden caves and the occasional puddle, you can lay those worries to rest. As you've seen from some of the footage and my scripts so far, Corekeeper is packed with multiple biomes that have culminated over its early access period. From the shimmering green-matted Azeus wilderness to the desolate and dark entrenched Forgotten Ruins, you won't be starved for adventure by any means. Variety extends beyond just looks. The hive area, for instance, has spikes, acid pools, and even these centipede-shaped creatures that phase through walls. The dirt biome is thick with mushroom men and submerged in slime, including the king slime of Terraria fame. Nice. In addition, there's also sub-areas for each main biome. These are usually surrounded by unbreakable walls, requiring you to engage it in a more traditional dungeon delving way, which is a nice break from the open-ended exploration. New to 1.0 is an endgame biome that I won't spoil here, but just know you will have to be on top of your preparation game in all the ways we talked about earlier, and more. There's no way around it. Corekeeper is a gorgeous game. Its pixel-built characters are adorable, its biomes are lavish and rife with detail, sometimes unnervingly so. The cherry on top is the reflection and bloom effects. It's really easy for a game to have lighting that doesn't feel consistent with its own art style, especially pixelated art styles, but it's not the case here. What's in it for you in regards to these biomes, as in, why would you go to these places? Are you really delving through a living hive nest just to get a cool lampshade for your base? No. That's only like a fourth of the reason. There's no place in Corekeeper you'll go spelunking and come back empty-handed. There's always gear, consumables, and, on rare occasions, even permanent upgrades like increased max health for your character. The first time I came across one of these upgrades, I was super stoked because I feel like a lot of the times games with big worlds can very quickly become reduced to just having 3 different collectibles or things to look for. Little moments like this that surprised me are the norm, not the exception, in Corekeeper. In addition, there's also giant bosses known as Titans that give you unique powers when you defeat them. Just be sure to not use these at your home, because it can end badly. I briefly touched on this earlier, but I feel it bears repeating. I never had a moment where I was in the dark about what to do next in Corekeeper, or how I could improve my home. This genre has games I adore, but I can't tell you the amount of times I am playing one of these things and I am at a loss for a pivotal ingredient to something, and couldn't get it unless I consulted a wiki. I could count on one hand the amount of times I had to do that in Corekeeper, and that was before 1.0. The cohesion extends to players just joining your world too. Even if someone joins after you've beaten some of the main bosses, it won't take long for them to feel caught up to speed on everything, as long as they have just a little bit of survival crafting game experience. By the way, electrical systems and automation are usually something I avoid when it comes to these kinds of games, but Corekeeper has opened my eyes. It was a painless process to set up some nice light bulbs in my house, or get a drill going so I can start harvesting as much ore as possible. I'm sure people really experienced with redstone and the like can make some crazy contraptions and auto farms or whatever. I'm not here to go nuts with any of that. I am but a humble keeper, but the option is definitely there for those who want to go all in. Corekeeper is a blessing. Its locales are teeming with life and mechanics. Its settlements, both player-made and found, are fascinating. and to top it all off, it's playable with 7 other people. Everything I've mentioned prior is bolstered by the inclusion of a friend or 3. My girlfriend has yet to give the game a try, which means I'm able to arrange my house in any way I'd like. If the red dresser is gone from this room before the video is over, you'll know she found it. Like a new character in its world, it manages to carve out a thriving spot for itself despite the odds. And it's really nice seeing this project get off the ground. Memories are made in this game plain and simple, whether it's seeing ore that was precious to you moments ago become something you've completely automated, running away from a horde of cavelings with your friends, or putting down the finishing touches on your perfect dream home. It just doesn't get better, man. Corekeeper could comfortably retire as a complete package now, but that is not the plan, as more updates are on the way for the foreseeable future. One of the hardest parts about writing this video was having to pull myself away from the game to continue making this, and now that I've put the finishing touches on this video, I think I'm just gonna chill for a bit and keep cores on my Steam Deck while laying down. Go ahead and click the link in the description to check out the game. Thank you so much to Fireshine for sponsoring this video. It was amazing being able to do this. I hope you all enjoy the game. Thanks so much to you guys, and have a wonderful night. Booba.